You know, I have to say, I'm really happy to be here and to be talking to you about this because I told myself I would tell you about our diet if we saw success. And over the course of the last 7 weeks, we've seen some pretty significant success. So I think it's important for me to kind of follow through on the promises that I've made, to you especially. So I want to talk to you today about the diet we've been following for the last 7 weeks. I know I've been teasing it pretty heavily in the last several vlogs, if you've been watching my channel. First, I want to say I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. Like my Minion cup, I made him myself with a googly eye and like a blue koozie. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not an expert, but I do have permission from my doctor to follow this diet and to eat like this. If you've been thinking about, making a change to your diet, talk to your doctor, talk to somebody that knows what they're doing, but I'm going to tell you what we're doing because it's been working for us. So take everything that I say with a grain of salt. It's not gospel, but this is what we've been doing for the last 7 weeks. I've also been trying to conquer this cold. So if I sound a little snotty, it's because I am. Please forgive me for sounding just a little bit under the weather because yesterday it was much worse, but today I feel better. So today we're going to talk about this diet, and what it is it's a modified version of the Diet Center program. This book I think is from the 1980s. We bought this on a used bookstore website. When it came, we read it, and some of it doesn't hold up anymore. Some of it does. Some of it's super helpful. There are even like chapters in this book about dieting on vacation, men and dieting, like with kids. They talk about food additives and that kind of stuff. So it's a helpful resource, but you kind of have to read it with a critical lens because it's not the end-all be-all, but there are some really good things in here. So we took some of the good properties out of this and we kind of built our own program. The Diet Center program has 4 phases. They have the conditioning phase, the reduction phase, the stabilization phase, and then they have the maintenance phase. And I really liked the idea of this because so many diets just have you eating a certain way forever, and that's just how you eat forever. And this one isn't like that, and you kind of get to have like different things during different phases, and I liked that idea. So what we did was we made a plan for our reduction phase, because that's what we were gonna do. Like, you do conditioning first, then you do reduction for a certain amount of time, and then you go into stabilization, and then you have maintenance, which you follow, for a certain amount of time after the diet. So since I've given you like a vague overview of what the phases are, let me actually break those down for you. The conditioning phase is the first phase of the diet, and it has a duration of typically 2 to 7 days. This book has you do conditioning for 2 days. I did it for 0. Mom and Emma did it for about a week. So this, I feel like you can take it or leave it. Essentially, this is how you ramp in to the new diet. So you'll be eating the same things as you'll be eating in the reduction phase, but you can have more of them. You're eating at the same times, but you're just kind of getting used to the idea of this is going to be my new schedule and my new diet, but you're less restrictive on portion size. This is much more forgiving phase than reduction. The reduction phase is the phase where you probably will lose the most weight, and it's called the reduction phase. The duration of this one, the book says that you should not do reduction for more than 6 weeks at a time. They suggest 2 to 6 weeks, and we did 6 weeks. You can repeat this as necessary, so you do some reduction and then you cycle into stabilization. You probably should cycle with stabilization every 6 weeks, and that's our personal plan. It also matches up really well with our social calendar. So we're planning on doing 6 weeks of reduction, which we've already done, and now we're in the midst of stabilization, like real-time filming this. And so we'll probably do stabilization for the next 3 weeks, or I think we're planning on going back to reduction phase in September. But the markers of reduction are eating in a calorie deficit, it's a low-fat diet, it's a low-carb diet, and you kind of have intermittent fasting because you're consuming your calories between a certain like time frame. The stabilization phase has a duration, suggested duration of 1 to 3 weeks. I'm sure you could do more. They tell you to do 1 week of stabilization for every 2 weeks you spent in reduction. So the math for this would be if you are in reduction for 6 weeks, then you would do 3 weeks of stabilization. To me, it makes sense. For a social calendar, it makes sense. So that is our current plan. After you complete stabilization, you have 2 choices. You could go to reduction again and you could cycle through the whole thing one more time, or you could go on to maintenance if you wish. The markers of the stabilization diet, this is higher in protein than the reduction diet. You have a higher calorie allowance to help you, consume the amount of protein they want you to consume. And they also allow you to have dairy, so you'll add dairy back in the stabilization phase. So once you've completed the stabilization phase, you'll go into what they call maintenance. This is where it gets a little funky. The book says that maintenance should last the rest of your life. There's a contract in here they want you to sign, and they want you to print it out and put it on your bathroom mirror, and they want you to look at it every single day. And I'm not going to do that because I know myself, but I also know that this is the kind of diet I could very easily come back to. And honestly, once I've, reached that point where I feel comfortable in my body again, I feel comfortable in my clothes again, and I can do activities again that I used to like to do and be able to do, this is something I will be able to do again. And so after maybe the holidays, when I have had a bunch of pumpkin spice lattes and pumpkin pie, maybe, January, February, I'll go back to this diet. It's not the kind of thing I'm going to do forever. So this was a big change that we made to our program that we kind of wrote up. So instead of doing it forever and signing a contract that I'm not going to do, we're planning on doing maintenance, like the maintenance part of the diet, for 1 year after we complete our last phase of stabilization. This one has unlimited raw vegetables. They will allow you to have up to 60 grams of carbs per day, 3 times a week. The rest of the time you're supposed to stick with the 20 grams of carbs per day, which is a lot easier than I thought it would be, but we'll get there. They allow you to increase your dairy allowance from the stabilization diet, and then you get to add butter back. I'm not going to go into the specific macro requirements that are outlined by these phases because I am planning on kind of making this a series on this channel. I've already filmed the first video, but what I want to do is I want to do a what I eat in a day on like the certain phase of the diet. So the next diet video that you will see on this channel is going to be what I eat in a day on the reduction phase of this diet. So we'll, in those videos, break down the macros of the different phases. I know I've kind of painted this in like a rose-tinted glasses sort of way. So I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the challenges we faced on this diet. The first one is that we are shopping at the grocery store all the time. If you have been watching our weekend vlogs, Mom and I will go shopping either like Friday night before everything closes or very first thing Saturday morning. And I feel like we're shopping at the grocery store more than we ever have. But we are buying fresh produce. Nothing has gone bad on us except one package of romaine lettuce, and I think when we bought it, it was kind of on the verge anyway. But everything else that we've purchased has been consumed by us within, the time that it needed to be. Oh, and some orange juice went bad on us, but that's just because we weren't drinking it quickly enough. But it goes bad in like 3 days. So now that we've made going to the grocery store part of our like weekly routine, and it's actually a lot easier for us to go Friday night than it is Saturday morning, because Friday night no one's at the grocery store. But now that we've made it part of our weekly routine, it's a lot easier for us to stick to, and it's also easier for us to feel like our weekend started earlier because we're going out and doing something. And again, if you've been watching the vlogs, you know that we have like a route that we take. So we go to Aldi first, and Aldi's kind of a treat because Aldi has those like Aldi finds aisles, and I call them the junk aisles because there's always something in there that you don't need but you're absolutely fascinated by. And I just love to walk down those, and we always stop, or almost always stop, at TJ Maxx on the way home, just as a special little treat, because so many times, especially as a female person, going out and doing something revolves around food. It's, you know, where are we going to go to eat? What are we going to eat? Are we going to get margaritas? And so it's become very different, you know, for our routine, but it's been really good for us, and we've spent a lot less money because we haven't been going out to eat at a restaurant. We've just been, you know, window shopping at TJ Maxx, just looking at stuff but not buying a whole lot of things unless we're going to eat it, wear it, or use it. One of the biggest challenges for me personally was cutting out caffeine. So this book. Okay, so one of the biggest problems I had with this book was what they say about people who consume caffeine. Caffeine tends to make them nervous, is a direct quote from this. I disagree, but I know that it is good for me to what I call decaffeinate every once in a while. So the decaffeination phase for me personally, at the start of this, I was miserable for the first week of this diet because I just went cold turkey, no caffeine at all, no coffee, and that was really tough. But after the first week, I got through it, and I missed it because I missed the ritual of drinking coffee, but I made it through, and I'm fine. And after the first week, it was a whole lot easier for me to not have coffee, and I didn't realize how tough it was going to be that first week, but then I didn't realize how easy it was going to be after that. Of course, there's the things that you miss on the diet. You know, I miss having rice and pasta because they help to fill out a meal, and they're so easy to cook. You know, cooking rice, cooking pasta doesn't take very long. I feel like most people know how to do that. So I do miss the convenience of some of those things, but I didn't miss eating them, if that makes sense. And of course, I probably should say it was a challenge making this diet, like outlining the plan for this diet. But once we made the plan, like I planned out when I was going to eat, what I was going to eat, and how those things matched up to the macro requirements for the phase of the diet. Once I made that plan, we would shop to that grocery list, and I knew exactly what I was going to eat at exactly what time of day, and it's been so easy to stick to because there's no question. I know exactly what it is. If you don't like eating the same thing every day, I don't know that this is going to be the diet for you, but this has taken so much mental load off of me because I don't have to think about what am I going to make for dinner, because it's the same thing every night. We do make a few exceptions on like the weekends. So like most of the time for dinner, we're eating chicken. Sometimes on a Friday or Saturday, Sunday, we'll cook a steak. We'll do like a beef stir fry. We'll do a patty melt, you know, so we'll add beef in, but most of the time it's chicken. So when I say it's the exact same thing, we do little variations. I'll do a variation on the vegetable that we're eating for dinner, or I'll, you know, vary the seasoning that I put on the chicken. I might make a sauce or something, but most of the time it's the same thing. And now we've done it so much, everybody in the house knows how to make it, so you know, it's not like the responsibility falls to one person either. So let me talk you through some tips that I have. If you decide you wanted to maybe try this out, make a schedule that works for you and your lifestyle and stick to it. I think it helps to do it with a friend or with a group of people, to do it with a partner, to not do it alone. I think you can help hold each other accountable, and then you can kind of share the prep work, the cooking, the cleanup, and that can be kind of a burden if you do it on your own. My last suggestion is to pick foods that you know you like that fit within the parameters of the diet. Don't start a diet, any diet, and think, oh, I'm just going to become a person that likes Brussels sprouts. If you know you don't like them, don't force yourself to eat them. Find something else that you hate less or like more, because like we've discovered, Emma is sick and tired of asparagus. I didn't know that. Now I do. And so I have been buying other things. But it's something you can, cycle through. If you have a garden, this could help you grow fresh produce. If you have, a farmer's market near you and there's seasonal stuff that you like to get into, maybe just try to phase that in. So this is the most exciting part for me personally, because I get to share with you a few details about our success, because I want to document this somewhere. And I know that I'm probably going to come back and watch this video in a year or two when I want to reference how we did this diet. And I'm going to ask myself, why did you film this when you were clearly sick? And it's because I wanted to. So future Auburn, there's the answer to your question. But I also want to document what success we've seen, because we've been weighing twice a week. The book tells you to weigh every day, and I don't agree with that. We weigh Monday mornings and Friday mornings, so we can see what, how our weight fluctuates Monday to Friday and then Friday to Monday. I'm not going to go into all of those details. I'm not going to tell you how much weight each one of us has lost. I will tell you that over the course of 6 weeks of reduction between 4 people, my mom is in her 60s, Anthony is in his 20s, I'm in my 20s, Emma's in her 20s. Between the 4 of us, over 6 weeks, we lost a total of 74 pounds between the 4 of us. I'm gonna let that sink in, because for me personally, that's way more than I thought we were gonna lose. Way more than I thought any of us were gonna lose. I knew that we would see some success on this. I didn't know it was gonna be so easy. Now that we've been in stabilization for a week, one of the things that the book says about stabilization is that when you go into that from reduction, you're very likely to gain just a little bit of weight, but it'll come right back off. We went out to eat at a very wonderful Italian restaurant last Sunday. It was kind of like a celebration. Wow, we've made it 6 weeks. I think it's important to reward yourself. And we just did that with food because we like it. It was one meal. One meal is not going to make us gain back all of the weight that we lost. And we had a social engagement, and this was convenient for us to go to dinner there. So, yeah, of course we gained a little bit of weight. I think, 2.5 pounds from Friday to Monday. And I know I didn't gain 3 pounds of fat over one weekend. And I weighed the following Friday, and I had lost all of that I had gained over the weekend and some more. Granted, I've been sick, so that's probably a contributing factor, but I'm not going to be mad about it, because everybody else has also gone back to the weight that they were before. So stabilization has been treating us very well this week. We were able to go out to eat today with some friends. We went to a restaurant and we had steak, and I had a steak wedge salad. It was wonderful. And so we got to have a social engagement with some friends we haven't seen in well over a year, and it was a really good time. I'm really happy with how things are going. Everybody's been supportive of each other. We haven't had a breakdown. Nobody's been cheating. Nobody's been angry or upset or hangry, because one of the fears about going on a diet is, okay, you're going to do a diet and you're going to be unhappy, you're going to be hangry because you've put yourself in this uncomfortable calorie deficit. But even when we went out to eat last weekend and we went to this fabulous Italian restaurant, we ate family style. We had the option for them to keep bringing us plates of food, but we didn't ask for seconds. We got the portion that they brought us, and we didn't finish everything. We brought leftovers home. So if there's one thing that we have definitely learned on this diet, it's portion control, and we've taught our stomachs the appropriate portions to eat. So we've taught our eyes, here's what a portion looks like, and we've taught our stomachs that portion is satisfying. So we're happy, we're healthier, we're losing weight. Anthony's blood pressure is normal, and for a while it wasn't. And, we're seeing lots of positive changes. For a while I was seeing very hormonal changes. I had a hormonal breakout on my chin, and that was when I was, had lost a pretty significant amount of weight, and my skin started freaking out. And it's normalizing again, but I know that that's a side effect, and I talked to my dermatologist when I went to see her just this last week, and I had told her, yeah, I've been doing this diet and I've lost, so many pounds, and she's like, yeah, that's a normal hormonal change for someone your age. So, it's ups and downs, but mostly ups in, the way of side effects, and downs in the way of weight. So we're really happy. I wanted to just talk about this with you guys. If you have any questions, you can feel free to message me on Instagram. I don't feel comfortable leaving advice or discussing this in comments on YouTube. So if you need to talk to somebody about it, if you want more details, you can message me. But like I said, I'm not a dietitian, so don't ask me for advice. But if you want to talk about it some more, I'm happy to talk about it with you if you message me on Instagram, because I just don't want to leave this out there on the internet. But this video is kind of just to tell you, don't take everything that a diet book says for granted. You can make it your own, and it can still work. So talk to your doctor, figure out what's going to work for you. And if you're looking to make a change, I wish you luck, because, it feels really good when you start to see those changes and they start, showing in the way of, hey, my clothes fit better and my knees hurt less and I'm sleeping better. Those side effects are great. So, okay, I'm gonna go take a rest, a break, and I will talk to you guys in another video really soon. Bye.